Jamaica, tonight I want to introduce you to a university that does not exist on paper. You cannot apply to it. You cannot find its campus. You cannot receive an accredited degree from it. And before anybody deliberately misunderstands me, it's called UCC, the University of Corruption and Criminality. Let me repeat myself. The University of Corruption and Criminality is my political satire and metaphor. It is not a real institution. And calling someone a graduate is not proof that that person committed a crime. But the metaphor raises a serious question. Can a political culture become a university? Yes. Can generation after generation inherit attitudes about political loyalty, patronage, tribalism, accountability, and power until those attitudes becomes almost institutional knowledge? Yes. Because tonight we are going back to the Englishman, the British-born guy, Michael Manley. The epitome of evil. I am the first one to tell Jamaican people that Michael Manley was a devil. Others were afraid because they are afraid of attack, whether it's physical or mentally or verbally. I'm not afraid of any guy. I was born and raised in Iberia Beast. I have seen all of the things that this man, political philosophy, has destroyed my people, even family member of mine. Most of you, none of you never have family who go up on death row yet. So when you can't talk to me, when me talk with a passion, because that's Michael Manley philosophy. I'm not here to praise him. Not simply to condemn him. We are going to investigate his political legacy and ask a much harder question. What did the PNP become after Michael Manley? And I am going to use one image throughout this discussion. Termites. When termites enter a building, they don't necessarily knock down the front door. They work quietly. The paint can still look beautiful. The roof can still shine. The building can look magnificent from the road. But behind the walls, something may be eating the structure. That is how corruption can operate inside institutions. One favor, one contract, one political connection, one person protected because he is our man. One questionable act excused because our side did it. One standard for orange, another standard for green. And eventually, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest casualty isn't merely money. No, it isn't merely money. It is the conscience of a country. So tonight, we are opening the doors of my imaginary university. Welcome to UCC. Yes, the University of Corruption and Criminality. That's Michael Manley University. That him give Jamaica. For the past 54 years, Jamaicans have been living in this university. That's why you see what is happening right now in Jamaica with people. Just go and take people and live upon it, and then when the court tell them to come off, the court wicked. I don't support them kind of life there. Yes, today I want members of the Jamaican Young Police channel. Those of you who know this man, yeah, looking at him, Omar Ebanks is not his correct name. I would like you to send me his correct name and date of birth if known. Yes, this man is a part of the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. And if you look to your right, that's a man by the name they call Tyson. He was a councillor. Tyson. Omar Ebanks. That's the name that he had used. That is not his correct name. Omar Ebanks had revealed to me the reason that they killed Tyson and where the order came from. And it came from the opposition leader, Mark Gummerbeer Golden, to give him, the convicted drug dealer and deportee, the seat for him to run in south over there in Portmore. After he had revealed such information to yours truly, The channel has been under attack for over 2.5 years. Yes, the Jamaica Young Police channel. So we'd like this man correct name, his government name, and his date of birth, so that we can reveal certain things. Omar Ibanks is not his correct name, as I studied him. So if this is the first time to the Jamaica Young Police channel, please remember to like the video first thing. When you like the video, it's going to say to hype the video. Hype the video. After you hype the video, then you can share the video with your friend, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mama, your papa, side chick or side man, or whoever you want. And make sure you comment below. Yes, welcome to the Jamaica Young Police channel. To our loyal viewers, subscribers and Patreon member. At the channel, we are a group of law-abiding citizens who believe in the rule of law and respect the rights of every citizen, but not the ones who do not subscribe to such behavior. We do believe in and support preemptive strikes because they save lives. This is a logical conclusion because preemptive strikes save lives and prevent the further loss of lives. We are all about saving lives at this channel. We at the channel aid criminals with a passion and do not want them over here. We do not want your views, your subscriptions, your likes or your comments. Please go elsewhere where the red carpet is waiting for you. Over here, we want you to go to prison or the departure lounge at Madden. Moving on to today's video. Want land you bite. All the way, every one of us who are black, brown in Jamaica, our ancestors were slaves. We were not part of the slave class as Mark Gummy Bear Golden. That the same black people them are run behind. He's not a part of the slave class as his wife. He's a white man. His ancestors benefit from slavery. But there's still black people running behind him. The white man who benefit from slavery. And some people say, make that make sense. Of course. Because we don't know we always have dummy around us. And stay with me until the end. Because I am going to give you tonight code word. And when you hear it, I want you to put it in the comments so I know you stay through the entire investigation. And before I move on, please just type and tell us where you're watching this video from. Before we put Michael Manley on trial, understand the history. Why you say what is happening right down there in Jamaica with these squatters. Finally, we have a government that's standing up. This is not nothing but a poor. This is thief. You can't thief people land. You can't go squat on the people them land and 19 years these people in a Trelawny and the people them land and I fight them in a court. And we're going to let you watch a video where the PNP them tell them, say, oh, stay upon it, because phone. Let us establish something immediately. Michael Manley did not literally establish an institution called the University of Corruption and Criminality. That is my metaphor. I am the one that told you that the PNP LGBTQ+ is a criminal organization. But this is where it all started, at the University of Corruption and Criminality. The godfather of it, Michael Manley, the founder. Michael Manley was one of the most consequential political leaders in Jamaican history. He became PNP president in 1969 and prime minister in 1972. And his political legacy include major social reforms and an ideological transformation of Jamaican politics, where he normalized criminality, put murderers on a pedestal, fed them up on Borrow Boy, and even members of my family. Normalize it. One time criminality was something where people shun. Michael Manley normalize it. Right now in Jamaica, if you don't go to jail or prison, you know nobody. That's a Michael Manley philosophy. A guy from Jungle called and left a message on my phone, and I said, oh, you're a traitor, you know, because you come from down here to one of them things, and you're going like say, phone the family never used to pay, mortgage sometime and all kind of thing. And I'm like, look, I don't know where him get him argument from. He must say talk about just in family, but one day I'll let you hear that, I digress little, because sometimes when people say some things, you just have to speak truth. So if we are going to criticize his legacy, we should be intellectually strong enough to acknowledge its accomplishment too. So we all be honest. We not gonna tell you the real mama papa truth. Because that matters. Because propaganda begins when you tell your audience only the facts that help your argument. Investigation begins when you tell them the uncomfortable facts on both sides. Manley supporters remember social reform, greater attention to workers, education, equality, national identity, and an effort to give ordinary Jamaicans a greater sense that government belongs to them too. Those things cannot just brush aside. You can't do that. It's simple, those things cannot simply be erased because we disagree with other aspects of his politics. But leadership must also be evaluated by something larger than intention. What political culture developed around it? What happened to Jamaica's political institutions? What happened to political tribalism? What happened when communities increasingly became identified by political allegiance? Michael Manley did that, in my community where I was born and raised. Any person who come from Jonestown and then live in a jungle and all of them things there, who are in them early 70s or later, them can't tell us a Labour and PNP used to live in a Jonestown in a love. Nobody never, no tribalism, no war. Michael Manley did that. I remember as a little boy, I have people, Labour people there, and PNP them used to work down I wharf. And a Michael Manley them start chase them out. You understand? You have a lawyer with us, Westmoreland right now, named Devon Brown. I'll film family enough in left because they say them are Labour right. Him turn Labour right now. He was police, but him in a police. You understand? Film family turn Labour right. Eric Reed, where they live there to him down in a Broward County, my official down there and them thing there. Film family deliver joke. Them tell them say them have to leave because them are Labour right. Them turn Labour right too. Because them run them out. Some of them got MAPE and all about, and because them they run them out, them say them feel like them become Labour right. Michael Manley did that. What happened to political tribalism? And what lessons were passed to subsequent generations? That is where my UCC metaphor begins. The first course, political tribalism 101. Imagine walking into our fictional university, first classroom, political tribalism 101 or 101. The lecturer write 2 words on the board: us versus them. That may be one of the most destructive ideas ever introduced into democratic politics, because democracy requires disagreement. Tribalism requires enemy. Democracy says, I disagree with you. Tribalism says, you are against us. And once politics becomes tribal, principle begins disappearing. If the other party does something questionable, corruption. If our party does something similar, let's wait for the facts. If the opponent's politician is accused, resign immediately. Remember the other day with the minister, with them, Mark Gomebe Golden, Steve McGregor, and all of them go to Half a Tree, go demonstrate, and people will pay $5,000 for a yellow shirt. Because they must say, Wycliffe will resign. I tell you that, If our politician is accused, that is a political attack. Ladies and gentlemen, that mentality doesn't belong exclusively to the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. The GLP can suffer from precisely the same disease. That distinction is important, because if I condemn blind PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization loyalty while practicing JLP loyalty, then I have simply changed the color of the uniform. I haven't changed the mentality. And that brings us to the first examination question at UCC, University of Corruption and Criminality. at PNP University. Can you condemn wrongdoing when the person accused belongs to your own political tribe? That is the examination Jamaica keeps failing. Corruption is a termite. Now remember my termite. A termite doesn't need to destroy the entire building tonight. It only needs permission to keep eating. That's corruption. Corruption doesn't necessarily begin with somebody carrying away millions of dollars or billions of dollars. Sometimes it begins with an attitude. Everybody does it. That means we do it too. This is the first time we have a government that is ethical when it comes down to not corruption, but they have done something that taking the country backwards when they're about to keep people clean fingerprint record. We know that. That a criminal, that you destroy the people them. And some people, boy, I love digress. Yes, I saw it go. So listen carefully whenever you hear that sentence. Everybody does it. That is how standards die. Because if everybody does it, nobody is responsible. And if nobody is responsible, nobody needs a change. Nobody needs a change. Imagine discovering termites in your house and your contractor tells you, don't worry about those termites. Your neighbors have termites too. Would that make you comfortable? Of course not. You would say, get the termites out of my house. So when somebody raises concern about the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, saying, but the GLP does it too, isn't an answer. And when somebody raises concerns about the GLP saying, but the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization did worse, isn't an answer either. Both buildings need treatment. Wrong does not become right because your opponent is also wrong. The second course, Selective Outrage 2.0 or 201. Welcome to your second class, Selective Outrage 201. So we go from 101 to 201 because we're in our second course. This is where political hypocrisy becomes sophisticated. Yesterday, this conduct is disgraceful. Today, well, you have to understand the circumstances. What changed? Not the principle. The political jersey changed. Look the amount of scandal that we had with the PNP during the Black Thief, when the Black Thief was Prime Minister Michael Manley. From 1989 we are talk up to present. Philip Powell should have gone to prison. And we said that without any apologies. Them thief how much millions. The only somebody them squeeze was Current Spence, and then them use them thieving judge, them criminal minded judge for let him go. The judge was like the defense lawyer against Paul Lewin in a court. This is where corruption of the mind can become more dangerous than corruption involving money. Because financial corruption can sometimes be audited. Money leaves trails, contracts leave paperwork, but bank transfers create records. But how do you audit a conscience? How do you investigate a mind that has trained itself to excuse wrongdoing whenever the correct political color is attached? That person can become the perfect defender of a broken system without receiving $1. Nobody needs to bribe him. His tribalism does the work for free. Think about that. The most effective political surrogate may be the one who doesn't even realize he's behaving like one. Michael Manley and the question of legacy. Now, we return to Michael Manley. And here I want precision. A leader can have tremendous accomplishments and still leave behind political consequences worthy of serious criticism. Those ideas aren't contradictory. Manley remains enormously important to Jamaican history. But historical importance doesn't create immunity from examination. The question isn't, was Michael Manley good or evil? History isn't a children's cartoon. The better question is, what political institutions, expectations, and practices developed during and after his leadership, and what survived him? Because leaders don't merely pass laws, they shape political culture. They establish expectations. They teach supporters what politics means, and subsequent leaders inherit those institutions. Sometimes they improve them, sometimes they exploit them, sometimes they make them worse. So when I call Michael Manley the founder of my imaginary UCC, that a University of Corruption and Criminality, understand precisely what I am doing. I am using satire to interrogate the political culture associated with an era and its descendants. Not claiming Michael Manley founded a criminal organization or personally commit crimes for which there is no evidence. That is subjective. Michael Manley was a criminal at heart. Michael Manley never loved black people, all he loved was power. That distinction made the argument stronger, not weaker. Michael Manley never loved black people, all him loved was power. Michael Manley wanted to turn Jamaica into Cuba. And most people didn't know that Maurice Bishop, the guy in Grenada, that's the only successful coup apart from the one in Cuba. And Michael Manley recognized Maurice Bishop. But we do another story about that. Because most people don't know, that's why we tell us that the PNP LGBTQ plus is a criminal organization. So the third course, Patronage 301. Welcome to the third classroom, Patronage 301. Here's where democracy encounters one of the greatest temptations. Government possesses resources, jobs, contracts, housing, infrastructure, appointments, access, political influence. Now ask yourself, what happens when citizens begin believing access to those things depend upon political loyalty? The citizens gradually stop seeing government as our government. Instead, that is PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization government, or that is JLP government. That mentality is poison. A government elected by the Jamaicans must govern Jamaicans, not comrades, not labor rights, citizens. Your political affiliation should never determine whether your road gets fixed. Your political affiliation should never determine whether governments treat you with dignity. Your political affiliation should never determine whether wrongdoing against you matters. Because once government resources become perceived as political rewards, citizenship itself becomes corrupted. And that's how PNP did. The people them in the Tivoli Gardens, they had their own healthcare system down there, and the PNP took it away from the people them. Because the people them didn't have to go to KPH to see a doctor, neonatal and all of these things. The PNP take it away from them. The degree program, blind loyalty. Now, you are ready for the undergraduate program. Your major, blind loyalty. And here's your assignment. Defend everything your party does. No independent thinking allowed. If your leader says left, go left. If tomorrow he says right, explain why right was always correct. If someone produces evidence contradicted yesterday's argument, don't examine the evidence. Attack the person presenting it. Sound familiar? Yes, that's how the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, supporters, activists, and voters think. Truth is not a part of them cranium. This is not uniquely Jamaican. Political movements around the world develop these tendencies. But Jamaica has particular historical reasons to take political tribalism seriously. Our politics have sometimes carry consequences far beyond arguments in parliament. Communities have suffered. Families have suffered. Ordinary Jamaicans have paid the price. Therefore, political independence isn't merely intellectual. It can be patriotic. The real university is the human mind. Here is where this discussion becomes deeper. Forget the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization headquarters. Forget God knows. Forget political meetings. The most important campus in my UCC metaphor is located right here, inside the human mind. University of Corruption and Criminality. That are the PNP University. Because corruption doesn't only mean stealing public money. There's also intellectual corruption, moral corruption, institutional corruption. When somebody knows something is wrong, but convinces himself it is acceptable because his party benefits, something has been corrupted. When truth becomes negotiable, something has been corrupted. When principles change depending upon who is accused, something has been corrupted. And when citizens surrender independent thought to political organizations, democracy itself becomes weaker. That is the termite reaching the foundation. But what about the GLP? Something is typing it already. Jamaican Young Police, what about the Jamaica Labour Party? Excellent question. Investigate them. Audit them. Expose corruption wherever credible evidence establishes. Prosecute criminals regardless of political organization or affiliation. PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. Investigate JLP. Investigate independent. Investigate businessman. Investigate police officer. Investigate minister. Investigate prime minister. Investigate. Nobody should be above the law. That is the Jamaica I want. Because my loyalty isn't supposed to belong to a political party. When the issue is justice, my loyalty should belong to principle. And if tomorrow credible evidence prove wrongdoing by someone I previously defend, my position must change with the evidence. Otherwise, I am not investigating, I am campaigning. Criminality requires evidence. Now I need to emphasize something because we are using the provocative phrase, University of Corruption and Criminality. Criminality isn't established because somebody appears on my thumbnail. Criminality isn't established because somebody belongs to the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. Criminality isn't established because somebody's photograph appears beside another person's photograph. A criminal allegation requires evidence. A criminal conviction requires the legal process. Association is not guilt. That principle matters enormously. And viewers should remember it throughout the series. When I discuss an allegation, I will call an allegation. I will call it an allegation. When somebody makes a claim, I will identify who made the claim. When a court establishes something, I will tell you what the court established. When something remains speculation, I will tell you it remains speculation. That is how we separate investigation from character assassination. So we're going on to the fourth course. Accountability avoidance. 401. You're almost ready to graduate. Your final course. Accountability avoidance 401. The assignment is simple. Whenever somebody asks a difficult question, answer a different question. Yes, where did the money go? So your response, but what happened to 20 years ago? No. Answer the question. Who authorized this? Response, the opposition is playing politics. Maybe they are, but who authorized it? Was the proper procedure followed? Response: our party has always supported transparency. Wonderful. Was the procedure followed? You see, what accountability requires: answers, not slogans, not colors, not political history lesson. Answer. And Jamaica should demand that standard from every administration. The termites reach the foundation. Remember the house from the beginning? We started with one termite. Now 20 years pass. Nobody treated the infestation. Different families live inside. Every new owner painted the walls. One paint them orange, another painted them green. Orange again, green again. Beautiful house, fresh paint. Election posters everywhere, but nobody repaired the timber. Then one morning, crack. Part of the structure collapses. Everybody acts surprised. How could this happen? It happened because we confuse paint with structure. That is my warning about Jamaica. Changing government matters. Elections matter. But changing political colors without strengthening institutions cannot cure corruption. Orange paint doesn't kill termites. Green paint doesn't kill termites. Strong institutions do. Transparency does. Auditing does. Independent investigations do. Free journalism does. Court do. Ethical leadership does. And citizens who refuse to worship politicians do. What should the university teach? Maybe Jamaica need another university. Not the University of Criminality and Corruption, or Corruption and Criminality. Call this one University of Accountability. Course number 1, Evidence 101. Believe what can be demonstrated. Course number 2, Independent Thinking 201. Your political party doesn't own your mind, your brain. Course number 3, Equal Standards. If it is wrong when PNP does it, it is wrong when JLP does it. Course number 4, Rule of Law 401. Nobody's untouchable. And your doctoral dissertation, country before party. Now that's is a university from which every Jamaican should graduate. Message to PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization supporters. And let me speak directly to them. Yeah, the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization supporters watching me. Criticism of your party doesn't require hatred of you. You are Jamaicans. Although some of you don't see yourself as Jamaican, you see yourself as PNP. Me I tell you, PNP me born and grow around. I've never lived in a labourers community or live around them. That was in an early part of when me a baby. Many of you genuinely believe the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization are for the best future for Jamaica. You have every democratic right to believe that. But if you truly love your party, shouldn't you demand more from it rather than less? Accountability isn't an attack. Standards aren't persecution. Questions aren't hatred. Truthfulness. That is what is lacking from the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization, supporters, activists, voters, and leaders. Sometimes the strongest supporters in the room is the person courageous enough to say, my party is wrong. Anytime you do that, them kick you out. That's why you have Karen Cross on YouTube. Because she say our party did wrong. For embrace Dayton Campbell and the people that must whisper and vote for me, people that must send and say, no, we don't want a cradle robber, we don't want a man who are chopping a little picnic. And the PNP them say, no, you have to come out because you chat too much. Because blind loyalty doesn't strengthen institutions. It protects weaknesses until those weaknesses become disasters. Message to the GLP supporters. And labor rights, don't celebrate too quickly, because the same examination is coming for you. If you're enjoying this discussion only because the letters on the screen says PNP, then you have missed my argument. If tomorrow I expose credible evidence concerning somebody associated with the Jamaica Labour Party and suddenly you become offended, congratulations. You have enrolled in another branch of the same university. Political hypocrisy doesn't change because the shirt changes. I know some of you vex when I talk, especially about the Prime Minister or other members of the party. As I say, I'm not beholden to any party, I'm a patriot. So this is the final examination. So here's your final examination. No books, no Google, no political talking points, just your conscience. Question 1. Can you criticize your own political party? Question 2. Can you defend someone from the opposing party when the evidence shows they are right? Question 3. Can you change your mind when new evidence emerges? Question 4. Can you distinguish allegations from proof? Question 5. Do you love Jamaica more than you love your political organization? If you answer yes to all 5, congratulations. You don't need a degree from the imaginary University of Corruption and Criminality, the PNP University. You have something considerably more valuable, an independent mind. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Manley's legacy belongs to Jamaican history. People can admire part of that legacy. People can condemn parts of it. And reasonable Jamaicans can disagree passionately about what his political era ultimately meant for the country. But tonight, larger argument goes beyond Michael Manley. It goes beyond the PNP LGBTQ plus criminal organization. It goes beyond the Jamaica Labour Party. What political culture are we passing to the next generation? We are teaching our children that party comes before country. Are we teaching them that corruption matters when the opposition commits it? Are we teaching them that politicians deserve worship? Or are we teaching them something revolutionary? Politicians work for us. Michael Manley is gone. Other leaders will eventually be gone too. The Black Thief, Portia Simpson, Peter Phillips, Roger Clark, the Big Cow, or the Camel. Today's government will one day become yesterday's government. Edward Seaga gone. Today's opposition may become tomorrow's government, but Jamaica remains. That's why we must kill the termites instead of merely repainting the house. Don't defend corruption because you recognize the politician. Don't condemn somebody because you dislike his political color. Follow the evidence. Demand accountability. Protect the institutions. And above all, above everything else, country before party. If you stay with me all the way to the end, here is tonight's code word. Termites. Put termites in the comment. Don't explain it. Don't give away what it means. When I see termites, I know you stay until the very end. And you will know exactly why that word matters. Because corruption can begin quietly. It can operate invisibly. Yes, that's how it operates. And by the time everybody notices the damage, the foundation may already be disappearing. Remember to like, hype, share, and comment below. Have yourself a beautiful day. And those of you who feel the University of Criminality and Corruption, welcome. Those of you who have passed a University of Accountability, yes, we applaud you. Have yourself a beautiful day. Jamaica Young Police channel out.